Hey guys, this is Emperador Maximiliano back with another video for you guys. Want to go over a little bit of my pre-market preparation as I get ready for that opening bell each day. Some of the data and analytics that I'm pulling from Edgeful as I'm making out that plan, and then once that price action gets going, another tool that I've added into my strategy to try to make the best decisions as possible based on data and probabilities. Let's start out by looking at QQQ here. One of the first things I do every morning is look at the gap. So I want to know how big of a gap we've got, whether we gapped up and gapped down, and make a plan based on that. So looking at Friday here, Thursday we had Apple earnings after the bell, and we had a nice gap up overnight, a pretty large one. Let me go ahead and turn on the indicator on TradingView here that Edgeful provides. It gives me a nice visual of the gap, and I'm going to measure this gap because this was a large gap, and that's just over 1.5% of a gap up on QQQ. Now let me show you why I measured that. Over here on Edgeful, I can go to QQQ, which reminder, they do have all of the tickers out there. So if you trade Tesla, you trade Apple, you trade Nvidia, you can pull the reports for all those individual tickers as well. But I'm going to pull QQQ here, and I'm going to pull the gap fill report. So in general, when we do gap up on QQQ, 63% of the time, we're going to come back in and fill that gap. However, I want to take this a step further because that was a large gap, right? So I can go here to the size of the gap, and I can actually break it down based on how much we gapped up in this case, since we gapped up pretty large overnight. And so I just showed you guys on the other screen here, it was just over 1.5%. So if I go to the 1.5% here on QQQ gap up, 4 times this has happened over the last year, and we have never come in to fill that gap. And then even if I want to pull this one here, which is 1 to 1.5%, only 25% of the time, so 3 out of 4 times, we're not filling that gap, and 25% of the time, or 1 out of 4 times, we are going to fill that gap in. So the odds are in my favor that this gap is not going to fill, and as you can see as it played out, we did not fill that gap. So as I'm getting ready for the day here and I'm making my plan, I'm not going to wait for this gap to fill to try to get long, or if I'm short up here, I'm not going to look for this to fill all the way. I'm not going to have targets down here just based on the data that I'm pulling. Now, if I go back and show you guys a much smaller gap here, so this was on Thursday, and Thursday's gap, we had 0.6 or so on QQQ, so that falls in this case. More than half the times we are going to fill that gap. So 57% of the time we're going to fill that gap when we gap up that amount at 0.6%. And we did. So on this day I actually got short here, and you can see this wonderful visual here. Once the bar fills that gap in, you get this orange highlight around it. That helped me as I was looking to exit. So I actually was reaching full target here, and I know some people were waiting on this gap to fill. They actually got long off of that, which turned out to be a nice trade as well. So one of the things, every morning going into that opening bell, I'm looking at that gap. I'm identifying where it's at. With this indicator, it just highlights it for me, so it makes my life a little bit easier. But I'm also going to go pull the data based on the size of that gap and know what my probabilities are as far as filling that gap. Now, one of the next things that I do look at in Q, so let's go over to the future side here, and I want to show you guys the market sessions. So this indicator right here, it's actually going to highlight and show you the Tokyo, the London, and the New York sessions. So I'm going to look at this so I can have an idea of what's happened overnight in the Globex session, just to cover all of it with that name, but throughout the Tokyo and London session. And a lot of times you can look at that, for example, today, the London high, once we finally broke the London high right here, with some conviction. Obviously, we tried a couple times and failed, and then once we finally broke it, we were able to move on. So that's something I watch as well, those overnight highs, especially based on the London session. And then there's actually a report that I pull with this as well. So, like, for example, this was, Friday's action, the same one I just looked at on QQQ. And you can see the Tokyo session into the London session and then the New York session. If I go pull the data on this, let's go over to futures. And let's go to NQ. And the report I'm looking for is market session correlation. I'm going to go to Tokyo and London first because obviously chronological order. There's Tokyo. Tokyo was basically flat. You can't really call this a green or red close, honestly. Just a pretty flat Tokyo session here. But then we did have a green London session. But just for the reference here, if Tokyo does close green, 75% of the time, London is going to close green as well. And then if I jump over to London, whenever London closes green, 77% of the time, that's a high probability that my New York session is also going to close green. So I'm not looking for big reversals. When we have a green London session, I'm not looking for big reversals. The data is telling me that I'm going to probably close green. Now, that doesn't mean we have to, rip way up here, but I'm going to expect a green close if we have a London green session. So there's two reports that I pull every single morning just to have that pre-market plan. And then once the action actually gets going, let me show you guys one other thing that I really like to use throughout the day. So if I go back over here to QQQ and let's pull up Friday again, and let's look at the previous day's range. So Friday, this was our high, this was our low. And if you look at this indicator here, so here's Monday's action, previous day high. In this case, our exact low was the previous day high. So we look for this visual all the time when we're trading throughout the day. And this indicator, and of course I can toggle these on and off, all throughout the day, right? You guys know I love the orb indicator as well. But the previous day's range, so right here, we held the previous day high. That's something we looked for throughout the day. And then if we go back to, for example, Thursday, when I showed you that gap fill earlier, look at the exact low here. That was the previous day low, and you see it's marked with that red line right there. So I really like this, and to make it even a little bit better, we can jump over here. We can go back to QQQ. So once the day's going, a lot of times as the action gets going, I'm flipping over here to Edgeful and I'm pulling these reports because it's really quick to navigate some of these. And I can go to previous day's range. It's one of the new reports they have. They're adding new reports all the time. I will take a second here just to tell you guys. This button right here, new report ideas, those of you that are on the platform, send them your ideas. I've got a couple in mind actually that I'm getting ready to send over as well. They build out custom reports for you guys. So a reminder to send in ideas to them because you can see there's new reports coming all the time. But anyway, so we're looking at the previous day's range. So for example, previous day low, previous day high. And if you look at the data here, so previous day high broken. So if we take out a previous day high on QQQ, we're going to close green almost 80% of the time. If we take out a previous day low, we're going to close red almost 76% of the time. And you can see it's broken down over here. So how many times it's actually broken the previous day high, how many times it's broken the previous day low, and then whether it's closed green or red after doing so. So if I look at this and I say, okay, previous day low was broken, I'm going to expect a red day. For example, on Thursday here, we did not break that previous day low, so I'm probably not going to really expect the red day. Or if I go to Friday into Monday here, Monday, obviously when we gapped up from Friday's action into Monday, we did break that previous day high. So I'm expecting us to close green. Now, obviously we did close green this day, but we just stayed above the entire time here. But 79% of the time we're going to close green. So whether, once we broke this high right here, and which happened at the open, and in this case we even held it. So not only does the report give you the data, but I can also use this as support and resistance. And even if I go back to Tuesday, for example, Tuesday we broke the previous day low right here. Here's where it happened, but you can see the visual. We broke that previous day low. Once we've broken that, I'm expecting this day to be red. So I'm not really looking for a reversal back up here. I'm looking for either continuation or sideways action based on the data, which once we broke that previous day low, a lot of you guys know we like that strategy of, hey, we took out a previous day low, let's look for continuation, and you see a very nice move did play out there. So gap fill, market sessions, two things that I love to look at every morning in the pre-market prep, and then throughout the day, this previous day range, and then of course all the reports over here on Edgeful that go with it. Hope you guys give this a shot. Hope you guys try it out in your strategy. Back test it a little bit, see if you like it. But it's one thing that's really helped me, having that data behind these strategies. A lot of these things we're already trading, right? So the previous day high and low, or the gap fill, those are strategies we're already using. But we can add the data in there to hone that in and make the probabilities even better. So we're not trading the gap fill here, for example, like I was talking about earlier. It kind of keeps us out of a bad scenario, knowing the data and analytics behind it. Of course, if you guys are interested, jump over to Edgeful. I'll leave a link below this video. If you're interested, they are doing 7-day free trial right now, and the indicators are included. Don't sleep on it for too long. They may not include these forever, so make sure you jump in while you can. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, or send me a DM on X or on Discord, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time, hope you guys have a great trading session tomorrow.